Since my last visit, the abandoned hospital on the outskirts of Blackwood has become the subject of terrifying urban legends. Locals say that since the hospital closed after a strange fire, it has become a haven for restless spirits. Sarah, a mischievous and brave girl, is always captivated by ghost stories. She decides to explore the truth about this hospital with her three friends: Alex, a photography enthusiast; Lily, a firm believer in the spiritual; and Jake, Sarah's emotional boyfriend. As night falls, the silver moonlight faintly illuminates the hospital's old, peeling walls. The darkness seems thicker and more oppressive tonight. Sarah, Alex, Lily, and Jake stand in front of the rusty iron gates, their hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. Jake forcefully pushes the gate open, revealing a forgotten world full of mysteries. They step in slowly, their footsteps echoing in the silent space. Everything around them seems frozen in time. Walls covered in grime, shattered glass scattered on the floor, and the howling wind through broken windows create an eerie symphony. The light from their flashlights illuminates the walls, revealing faded paintings and vague shapes as if being watched from the shadows. Each step further inside is a step deeper into terror. The damp air and musty smell make it hard to breathe. As they venture deeper into the hospital, strange noises begin to emerge. The creaking of wooden doors somewhere, uneven footsteps as if someone is walking behind them. The group startles and turns, only to see dense darkness. In an old patient room, they find a metal bed with a decayed blanket and an overturned wheelchair, as if someone just left. A chilling sensation, as if the air around them is being sucked away, makes them shiver. Alex tries to take photos, but each camera flash reveals vague, ghostly figures in the frame. Lily, with her sensitive instincts, feels as if an invisible force is surrounding them. Sarah and Jake start to doubt if their decision to come here was a mistake. Suddenly, a door slams shut in a hidden corner, creating a deafening noise in the silent night. They look at each other with fear-filled eyes, realizing that the abandoned hospital holds not only lifeless walls, but also terrifying secrets and restless spirits. In the hospital's darkness, the group gets separated after the door slams shut. Now, each faces their own fears in the dim, gloomy corridors of the hospital. Sarah, the bravest of the group, uses her flashlight to peer through rotting doors. In an old operating room, she finds rusted surgical tools scattered as if left in the middle of a procedure. The light reveals red ink on the wall. They are still here. Sarah's heart pounds as she senses a mysterious presence around her. Alex, passionate about photography, finds himself in an X-ray room. He starts seeing strange images on the leftover X-ray films. Unclear images of body parts, but something is off, as if another entity is present in each photo. He feels watched from the darkness. Lily, with her sensitive abilities, finds herself in the hospital's old library. Dusty books and papers strewn about. She begins to hear whispers from the books, as if they're telling her the dark secrets the hospital has concealed. Jake, initially skeptical, now falls into panic. He finds himself in the psychiatric patient area. Walls marked with repeated "help me" scribbles. The sound of banging from a locked room terrifies him, making him too scared to move forward. As they try to find their way back to each other, a series of supernatural events unfold. Flashlight beams flicker erratically, whispers become clearer, and shadowy figures appear and disappear in a blink. Each step is a test of their courage. In their quest to reunite, they uncover a horrifying truth. The hospital was not only a place of healing, but also a site of grotesque experiments, turning patients into victims of deranged plans. The spirits of these victims still roam the hospital, seeking redemption or revenge. Their final confrontation with these spirits is not only a battle for survival, but also a journey to understand and liberate the trapped souls. Sarah, Alex, Lily, and Jake each face their deepest fears to find a way out of this haunted hospital. As Sarah's group continues to explore, the grim reality unfolds before them with each moss-covered wall and each gloomy corridor. The darkness not only conceals gruesome past images, but also harbors dark secrets waiting to be uncovered. Sarah, with an old nurse's diary in hand, leads the group through a corridor that, according to the diary, leads to a secret experimental area. The flashlight illuminates walls covered in scientific formulas and symbols, adding to the mysterious, eerie atmosphere. Their echoing footsteps create a chilling symphony in the silent space. Meanwhile, Alex, separated from the group, finds a room filled with photographs of patients. The faces in the photos blur in the darkness, as if trying to convey an untold story. While he looks closely, a photo suddenly falls, flipping over to reveal handwritten text. Don't trust them. Lily, while searching for Alex, stumbles upon a room full of glass jars. Inside each jar are indistinct objects floating in murky liquid. She senses a cold energy from them, as if they're whispering about endless pain and suffering. Jake, still panicked and disoriented, discovers a wall with a series of names and dates meticulously recorded. Touching the numbers, he feels a chilling sensation, as if touching the souls of the deceased patients. When they finally find each other and regroup, an uneasy feeling envelops the space. They realize that not only ghosts, but also a more powerful and terrifying entity lurks in the darkness. This entity seems capable of altering reality around them, twisting the space, making them lose their way in their attempt to escape. From here, the story becomes even more thrilling as they try to disappear the hospital's secrets and escape the grasp of this mysterious entity. The hospital's existence is not just a ghost of the past, but a complex puzzle they must solve to survive. As they reunite, the atmosphere in the hospital seems to become heavier, filled with pressure and horror. The damp walls, endless corridors, and terrifying echoes of their footsteps create a haunting melody. Every corner of the hospital seems to hold a dark secret, an unspeakable horror story. Sarah, with determined eyes, tightly holds the diary like a compass. Its yellowed pages, filled with shaky writing, reveal the grotesque experiments once conducted here. The group feels an irresistible urge to uncover the truth behind these walls. Alex, while trying to capture every bizarre aspect of the hospital, starts to notice strange images appearing in each of his photos. Vague figures, distorted faces, as if trying to break out of the still world of the photos, telling their endless stories. Lily, with her strong spiritual sense, begins to feel a different, ancient, and much stronger power. She feels drawn into a whirlwind of the past, where the hospital's whispers tell of horrific and unjust events. Jake, usually quiet, becomes completely mesmerized by the writings on the wall. The pleas for help, the hastily written lines, seem to be calling him, urging him to delve deeper into the heart of the hospital. As the night deepens, the ghosts and buried memories become terrifyingly clear. They face not only supernatural sightings, but also the pain and suffering these souls endured. Lost in the labyrinth of the past, they realized the hospital was not only a prison for patients, but also for unspoken agony and resentment. Amidst the horror, suddenly, a different event occurs, completely changing the course of the story. A wall unexpectedly opens, revealing a secret corridor leading underground, an irresistible invitation leading them to the heart of the hospital's darkest secret. As the secret door opens, the mysterious corridor leads them down to the deepest levels of the hospital, where no light penetrates. The damp, cold atmosphere envelops them, as if entering the heart of a dark, horrifying entity. The sound of dripping water echoes through the endless corridor, whispering unspeakable horrors. Sarah leads with her flashlight, its faint light illuminating walls covered in strange symbols and drawings. These drawings, with twisted lines, seem to depict an ancient ritual, something beyond human comprehension. Alex feels like each photo he takes is influenced by this dark entity, transforming them into inexplicable images. Distorted faces, headless figures appear in each photo, as if trying to tell him something important. Lily, feeling overwhelmed by the ominous energy around, is drawn to a strange ancient statue. The statue, with a blank expression, holding an object resembling an old key, radiates a powerful energy, captivating her. Jake, still in shock, becomes calm. He starts hearing voices that don't belong to anyone in the group, as if another entity is whispering in his ear. These voices, sometimes cold, sometimes pleading, seem to be guiding him deeper into the darkness. As they move deeper underground, the air becomes thicker, almost palpable with the presence of surrounding spirits. Whispers become clearer, the painful screams of former patients, the sobbing of unfortunate souls. Then they reach a large room, the center of all secrets. In the room, an ancient laboratory table stands, with test tubes and flasks filled with a strange black liquid. On the walls, ancient drawings and symbols depict a dark experimentation, where the line between science and supernatural is blurred. In the center of the room, something waits for them, a dense darkness, like a gateway to another world. As they approach, the whispers become urgent, pushing them into the heart of the secret, where not only their lives, but their understanding of the world will be challenged. In that room, their flashlight beams fail to penetrate the thick darkness, creating an oppressive, haunting atmosphere. The group stands there, feeling the heaviness of the space, as if the air is trying to compress them. Each breath carries the smell of dampness, mixed with death and a sorrowful past. Sarah, holding her ground. Jake, facing his inherent fear, starts to realize that the voices in his head are not mere hallucinations. They seem to be guiding him, wanting him to do something, an important action to liberate these souls. As they approach the room's final wall, an ancient stone gateway begins to emerge, with deeply carved symbols and drawings. This gateway seems to be the boundary between their world and another, a world filled with suffering souls and undisclosed secrets. When Sarah touches the gateway, a powerful energy begins to spread throughout her body, feeling as if she's connecting with every soul that's been trapped here. In her head, the whispers become clear, the painful stories, the dark secrets start to be revealed. Then, the space around them begins to transform. The walls start shaking, the whispers turn into screams, and the stone gateway begins to open, revealing a world beyond their imagination. A world full of horrors, unexplored mysteries, waiting for them to step in. As the ancient stone gateway opens, a dim, ethereal light emits from within, illuminating the faces of the group. This cold light is unlike anything they've seen, both brilliant and ominous, as if opening a door to another world. The surrounding walls begin to crack, not shattering, but transforming, moving as if alive. Sarah, though scared, maintains her resolve and steps into the gateway. Alex, Lily, and Jake, though hesitant, don't want to leave their friend behind and follow. As they step through the gateway, they feel as if they're entering another dimension, where time and space no longer matter. Before them is a vast space with towering stone columns and ancient wall paintings narrating the history of the hospital. These paintings, filled with ghostly images from suffering figures, distorted faces, to incomprehensible supernatural entities. In this space, the echo of restless souls seems even stronger. They hear painful stories, pleas for liberation. Each step they take is immersed in a somber, mournful atmosphere. At the center of the space, an ancient stone podium holds a gigantic book, open to pages written with ancient scripts and drawings depicting the dark experiments conducted by the hospital. This book, as if the heart, the soul of the hospital itself, contains all the darkest secrets and truths. As Sarah touches the book, the entire space starts shaking intensely. The walls begin displaying images from the past, the horrifying scenes of the hospital, unseen surgeries, gruesome experiments on patients, and the endlessly screaming, tortured souls. As these images appear, the group realizes that they are not only witnessing the painful history of the hospital, but also facing those souls. These souls seek not only liberation, but also to convey their story, wanting the outside world to know the pain and truth they endured. In this eerie and terrifying space, Sarah's group not only faces the sorrowful past, but also seeks a way to liberate these souls and themselves from the cycle of pain and secrecy. In the vast room holding the hospital's secrets, the group realizes they are facing a near impossible task to liberate the trapped souls and at the same time find a way out of this horrific spiral. Sarah, with sorrowful but determined eyes, realizes that the book before them is the key. Its aged pages, every line, every drawing, reveal a part of the dark history the hospital tried to hide. She feels that to liberate these souls, they need to understand and accept the past. Alex, still clutching his camera, begins to capture images of this space. Each photo is not just a memory, but also a piece of the larger puzzle they are trying to solve. Lily, with her sensitivity, feels drawn into the pages of the book. She starts to read aloud the curses and stories from the book, as if calling, creating a link between their world and the world of these unfortunate souls. Jake, although initially terrified, now finds courage deep in his heart. He feels a duty, a responsibility to help these souls. He starts to assist Lily in reading the book, together creating a harmonious, powerful sound. As they read, the space around them begins to change, the walls shake, and the ghosts begin to appear clearer. They are no longer vague shadows, but now clear images, each soul with its own story, its own pain. The ghosts start to gather around them, but no longer as something terrifying, but as a feeling of understanding and sharing. Each word they read, each page turned, is a step in liberating these souls. Finally, when the book is read to the end, a bright light begins to shine throughout the room. The ghosts start to dissipate, not disappearing, but being liberated, set free. The room brightens, and the stone gateway begins to close, but this time not as a gateway of secrets and pain, but as a gateway of peace and liberation. The group, with exhausted but relieved emotions, begins to walk out of the room, out of the hospital. They carry with them not only the stories they witnessed, but also a lesson in acceptance and understanding. The hospital, now no longer a place filled with horrors, becomes a place of peace where souls have been liberated and secrets revealed. In a certain city, there lived a doctor named Dr. Eldridge, who was revered by everyone not only for his outstanding medical talent, but also for his miraculous ability to heal rare diseases. He was famous nationwide, considered a savior in the medical field. Dr. Eldridge's clinic was located in the heart of the capital, housed in an ancient building with a luxurious and elegant exterior. What made the clinic special was the combination of modern medicine and ancient healing methods that Dr. Eldridge had learned from his research trips around the world. The clinic's mystery and Dr. Eldridge's miraculous skills attracted patients from all over. He cured patients whom other doctors had given up on, and thus rumors about his capabilities spread like wildfire. However, a dark secret lurked behind the walls of the clinic. Dr. Eldridge, under the guise of a benevolent doctor, was actually obsessed with death and grotesque experiments. He used patients who had lost hope for horrifying experiments. He told everyone that these people were incurable and had to be isolated and buried quickly. The reason why his crimes went undetected was because Dr. Eldridge had a vast network of information and influence. He knew how to erase all traces and make disappear anyone who threatened his secret. Additionally, the respect and blind trust people had for him created a strong protective wall around him. Mia, a young woman, came to Dr. Eldridge's clinic for treatment of a minor injury. While waiting, she decided to wander around to kill time. The clinic's hallways were long and quiet, with walls painted in a soft cream color and decorated with tranquil paintings. Absorbed in her surroundings, Mia didn't realize she had strayed from the main area of the clinic. She wandered into a quieter area with softer lighting and a heavier atmosphere. At a corner, she accidentally discovered a gray door hidden behind a long curtain. Driven by curiosity, Mia pushed the door open. She entered a completely different space. It was a large laboratory with modern equipment and tables filled with test tubes, chemical flasks, and scientific apparatus. The cold light from LED bulbs revealed the metallic color of the instruments. As Mia tried to process what she saw, she heard noises from the end of the room. Looking through a series of small windows, she witnessed a horrifying scene. A series of patients, some unconscious, hooked up to complex machinery, while others were undergoing gruesome surgeries without any signs of anesthesia. Mia's heart raced with fear, realizing she had stepped into an underworld where Dr. Eldridge was not a healer, but a mad scientist. A chill ran down her spine as she realized she needed to escape before being discovered. After witnessing the horrific scenes in the clinic's secret area, Mia quickly turned to leave. She tried to escape the suffocating and terrifying space, filled with anxiety and fear. But as Mia approached the exit, a strange noise caught her attention. Dr. Eldridge, in a pristine white coat, suddenly appeared from an adjacent corridor, his face reflecting surprise mixed with fury. He looked directly at Mia, his eyes ablaze with scheming madness. "What are you doing here?" he said in a chilling voice, each word like a shard of ice piercing Mia's heart. For a moment, Mia was frozen, unable to believe her eyes. He had transformed from the beloved community doctor to a cold, frightening figure before her. But her panic quickly turned into a strong will to survive. She realized she needed to act quickly to escape. Mia started to run, but Dr. Eldridge, with the alertness of a predator, quickly pursued her. The hallway echoed with his heavy footsteps, resonating with Mia's heavy breathing. The scene became tense as Mia raced through familiar corridors, trying to find an escape, while the murderous doctor relentlessly chased her. Facing Dr. Eldridge in a secluded room where the hallways led to the clinic's secret exit, Mia found herself trapped. The door behind her slammed shut. Dim light from the ceiling cast mysterious and frightening shadows. In that confined space, the air was heavy with the smell of disinfectant and tense silence. Dr. Eldridge, no longer the revered doctor, stood opposite Mia. His eyes glowed with madness and determination not to let her escape. He gripped a sharp surgical tool, its cold metal blade reflecting in his eyes. Mia, though frightened, maintained her resolve. She knew her only chance was to confront him. She looked around the room, searching for anything she could use as a weapon. In her hand, she held a small test tube she had grabbed from the lab. The confrontation began as Dr. Eldridge advanced toward Mia, step by step, his voice cold and threatening. Mia dodged, using her agility to avoid his attacks. She threw the test tube at him, but he quickly knocked it to the ground. As they closed in on each other, Mia felt the pressure mounting. The flickering lights on the ceiling cast moving shadows, like living things. In a desperate effort, Mia pushed a nearby stand toward Dr. Eldridge. He stumbled and fell, and she seized the opportunity to run toward the exit. Mia opened the door, and light from outside poured in, but safety still seemed far away. Dr. Eldridge quickly stood up and continued the pursuit. They ran through a maze of hallways, the echo of their footsteps on the cold floors. The chase ended when Mia found an emergency exit. She opened the door and ran outside, breathing in the cold night air. Dr. Eldridge, from the darkness of the hallway, watched her with eyes full of hatred and disappointment. Mia, her heart racing from the narrow escape, knew her fight was not over. She needed to warn others about the horrors she had witnessed. Mia ran relentlessly, each step echoing the voices of fear and determination. She knew she needed to go to the police to recount everything before Dr. Eldridge could cover up the truth. Streetlights flickered on the deserted streets, making her feel like she was in a horror movie. At the police station, she recounted her story with a tired but resolute face. Initially, the officers were skeptical of her unbelievable story, but Mia's truthful tone and panicked expression made them pay attention. The police quickly organized a raid on the place, but when they arrived, they found nothing unusual. The clinic, once the scene of the gruesome experiments Mia described, was now normal, clean, and free of any sign of crime. Dr. Eldridge appeared, reassuring and confident, facing Mia's accusations. He not only denied everything Mia said, but also claimed she was slandering him. He presented sound arguments, showing himself as a respected figure who couldn't be involved in the acts Mia described. Furthermore, Dr. Eldridge turned the tables by suggesting that Mia, once his patient, was suffering from mental issues. He asserted she was in a state of panic and needed treatment. His words, coupled with his medical prestige, began to sway the police and onlookers to believe Mia might be delusional. The community, initially shaken by Mia's accusations, now doubted her. People gradually believed Dr. Eldridge's explanation and thought Mia was not only slandering him, but also needed psychological treatment. Mia became isolated, her story dismissed as the product of a troubled mind. Dr. Eldridge continued his medical practice as if nothing had happened, while Mia faced skepticism and ostracism from the community. She felt powerless and hopeless, knowing the truth she had witnessed was still unrevealed and danger lurked behind Dr. Eldridge's respected facade. When Mia woke up, she found herself tied to a laboratory table, alone with Dr. Eldridge in a desperate situation. A sense of despair and fear spread through her, but Mia tried to maintain her spirit and resist. Dr. Eldridge, with a cold gaze and a malicious smile, approached Mia with torture instruments in hand. Mia felt like a weak prey before a brutal predator. As the first tortures came, Mia couldn't suppress her pain and horror. She screamed in resistance, the sound of pain and despair echoing in the dark space of the clinic. Each blow, each torture from Dr. Eldridge pushed Mia into deeper despair. But even as her body was tortured, her spirit fought back. She refused to submit to his malice, resisting strongly, hoping for a day of liberation. He performed painful experiments on her body, wanting her to admit everything was a myth and she was just a delusional patient. But Mia, despite her painful situation, maintained her will and resistance. Under the pressure of torture from Dr. Eldridge, Mia endured unbearable pain. Each injection felt like a new hell, but she remained defiant. In a moment of confronting both the cruelty and intelligence of the wicked doctor, Mia found a final chance for self-liberation. In a moment of distraction for Dr. Eldridge, as he tidied his workbench, Mia subtly rolled over and grabbed a chemical bottle from the table. With a quick and decisive movement, she threw the bottle at the doctor's face, causing him to panic and lose balance. A fierce struggle ensued, with both facing danger and death. Mia tried to overcome the doctor's strength and gain freedom. But luck favored Mia. During the struggle, Dr. Eldridge's sedative syringe fell to the floor. Mia saw the opportunity and did not hesitate to pick it up and thrust it into the doctor's neck. Dr. Eldridge, despite his final desperation and efforts, gradually fell into a deep coma. Mia, under stress and fear, lifted her eyes and looked around the room, trying to find any opportunity to escape Dr. Eldridge's confinement. Her eyes scanned every detail, and finally, she saw the doctor's phone on a nearby table. Under the feeling of tension and pressure, Mia tried to struggle to reach the phone but was still constrained by her bondage. She tried hard, but each kick brought pain and failure. However, she did not give up, and finally, with one final push, Mia snatched the phone from the table and clutched it in her hand. With excitement and hope, Mia unlocked the phone and the screen lit up, glowing in the darkness of the lab. A feeling of freedom and strength flashed through her body as she clutched the phone. As a means to resist Dr. Eldridge, Maya opened the camera app and filmed everything around her, capturing every dark and horrifying detail of the lab. Mia recounts the torture and brutal actions of Dr. Eldridge, and her feelings of terror are all captured in every frame and her trembling and frightened voice. She begged for help and rescue from everyone. After finishing filming, Mia bravely pressed the share button and chose a social network to post the video. She hopes that the truth will be revealed and she will get the help she needs. It is a final act of perseverance and mental strength as Mia waits for relief from the nightmare she is living through. Through her phone camera, Mia reveals how Dr. Eldridge has hidden the secret room. He used a complex system of moving walls and false walls to conceal this mysterious space, making it part of the clinic but not easily detectable. When the video aired, horrifying images of the experiments and torture that Dr. Eldridge's work on the patients, along with the truth about what Mia went through, disgusted everyone. All doubts about Mia's madness are erased, and the truth about Dr. Eldridge was finally exposed. After Mia posted the video on social networks, it didn't take long for it to spread everywhere. Users on social networks began sharing and commenting on this horrifying video. Anyone who watches the video will be haunted by the horrifying scenes of torture and brutality that Dr. Eldridge proceeded. People's comments and reactions ranged from surprise and anger to concern and sympathy. Some people called for immediate police intervention, while others offered their congratulations and support for Mia during this difficult time. Meanwhile, at Dr. Eldridge, the sounds of screams and attempts at resistance still echoed in the dark space. But at this time, the blue light of the warning light began to flash in the distance. The police received information from social networks and are on their way to the clinic to check. When the police broke into the clinic, they couldn't believe what they saw. The scenes of torture and brutality that Mia captured on video are enough to make anyone feel scared and angry. They entered the laboratory and rescued Mia from Dr. Eldridge and arrested him for the crime he committed. The truth was finally revealed, and Mia was freed from the nightmare she had been living through. After the police rescued Mia and arrested Dr. Eldridge, the doctor's clinic becomes a horrifying crime scene. The police discovered a series of dark experiments and means of torture hidden throughout the clinic, shedding light on Dr. Eldridge. Mia, despite experiencing much pain and fear, was eventually freed and taken to the hospital for care and recovery. She received support and sympathy from the police and medical staff and gradually began to recover from both her physical and mental injuries. Dr. Eldridge, after being arrested and led away, had to face the serious consequences of his criminal actions. He was charged with a series of crimes, including torture, oppression, and intentionally causing injury to others. The exploitation of the truth and concrete evidence from the video that Mia recorded cannot be denied, and Dr. Eldridge was sentenced to life in prison. Doctor's Clinic Eldridge, once a place of trust and peace, has now become a symbol of brutality and cruelty. This event caused a strong stir in the community and served as a warning to others about the dangers of secrecy and blind trust. As for Mia, even though she went through terrible challenges, she found the strength and courage to overcome them. Even though she has experienced pain, she never stops hoping for the future and is ready to continue a new life in freedom and belief in justice. In a small town on the outskirts of Illinois, St. Jude Hospital has existed for centuries. Built in the 1800s, the hospital has witnessed countless deaths and the painful loss of patients and staff. Shadows of darkness cling to its exterior corridors, especially Corridor 13, where trapped spirits are believed to suffer. Nancy, a young nurse, recently joined the hospital's staff. From her first day, she felt an eerie atmosphere, but optimistically attributed it to the stress and exhaustion of her new job. One night, Nancy was tasked with checking on a patient in room 1313, an isolated room at the end of a long, dimly lit corridor. While there, she heard metallic footsteps on the floor, but saw no one upon looking back. More mysteriously, she saw a woman in an old nurse's outfit standing in the darkness at the end of the corridor. Nancy called out, but received no response. As she approached, the figure vanished as if it had never been there. Terrified, Nancy ran out and reported to the medical room. However, when she looked up the records for room 1313, she realized that there had been no patient recorded there for a long time. Each day, Nancy's experience at St. Jude Hospital began with eeriness and gloom. Walking through its grand entrance, she couldn't ignore the overwhelming tension and anxiety in the air. The hospital's ancient walls and mysterious corridors were cold and foreboding in the darkness. Passing Corridor 13 always felt like a phantom was watching her from afar, with strange noises echoing from the hidden corners of the hospital. Determined to uncover the hospital's mysteries, Nancy delved into its history and discovered terrifying rumors about trapped spirits. Corridor 13, rumored to be haunted and particularly dangerous, became the focus of her curiosity. Despite her unease, her curiosity drove her to investigate further. Nancy's journey led her to the hospital's hidden corners, where dark secrets gradually unfolded. She discovered a secret door in the library leading to old record books. These faded and worn pages contained horrifying secrets about unethical medical experiments on unfortunate patients. Nancy was shocked by her findings, but the truth about St. Jude Hospital slowly revealed itself, shaking her faith in its safety. While reading the records, strange footsteps behind her urged Nancy to probe deeper. She turned to see a young woman in a classic nurse's uniform at the end of the corridor. The sudden appearance startled Nancy, but it wasn't her first encounter with the hospital's mysteries. Entering the hospital's secret dungeon, Nancy felt engulfed in an undercurrent of weirdness and gloom. The deserted space was faintly illuminated by a small lamp on the wall, casting strange shadows. The air smelled briny and unpleasant, but it was the inexplicable presence and pressure in the room that made Nancy shudder. She felt a gravitational force pulling her towards the room's end. The faint figure of a young woman emerged from the shadows. Nancy remembered the soul's sorrowful and misty eyes. She was torn between horror and curiosity. Her heart pounded, but her mind was filled with questions about the soul's origins and purpose. As the spirit narrated its story, Nancy's emotions sank into a deep trap of sadness and helplessness. She sensed the pain and panic in the spirit's voice, recounting the hospital's dark past and unforgettable losses. Nancy couldn't look away from the haunting images of a fire and invisible spirits trapped in the room. She felt part of the story, caught in a whirlwind of despair and horror. Continuing their investigation, Nancy and the spirit delved deeper into St. Jude Hospital's corners. They used every means to gather information and clues, from examining records to conversing with former staff and even negotiating with other spirits in the hospital. Each new step was a challenge, but they were determined to uncover the truth. Eventually, they discovered a crucial piece, a recording of hospital staff discussing a sinister plot. The conversation revealed that a previous fire was not an accident, but part of a larger scheme to cover up unethical activities in the hospital. With this clue, Nancy and the spirit conducted a final investigation. uncovering the horrifying truth about unethical medical experiments and the involvement of a group of hospital staff in covering them up. By gathering and presenting evidence to the authorities, they exposed St. Jude Hospital's dark secrets. The evidence and findings of Nancy and the Spirit brought to light the truth behind St. Jude Hospital. The authorities investigated and concluded that the hospital was responsible for unethical and inhumane acts towards patients. Justice was served as hospital staff involved in the crimes were convicted and held criminally accountable. Meanwhile, the victims of unethical experiments were acknowledged and received deserved care and compensation. With the investigation's conclusion, St. Jude Hospital closed, becoming a notorious site shunned by all. Nancy, with her courage and unwavering determination, became a symbol of justice and advocacy for the vulnerable. Though the investigation ended, its aftermath lingered. The horrific events at St. Jude Hospital would forever be part of Nancy's life, but she learned the value of strength and courage in all situations. Nancy and the Spirit's story left a profound impact on everyone, serving as a lesson in the fight for justice and opposition to cruelty.